Hi, boys and girls. We are back with another Wonders reading lesson. Today, we are going to read the story Gary the Dreamer by Gary Soto. This text is a narrative nonfiction. That's the genre. The word genre is means the type of story it is, and this genre of this text is narrative nonfiction. The word narrative means story. The word nonfiction means not fake. If we just had the word fiction, fiction means made up, that it's fake. But since this word part non is in the front of this word, it means that it's not fake. So, this story, more specifically, we would call an autobiography because Gary Soto, the author, is writing about himself. So, a biography is a writing about a person. And if it's an autobiography, that means the author is writing about themselves. All right, let's get started. This week's essential question is: how do people from different cultures contribute to a community? Read about the poet and author Gary Soto. Find out about Gary's culture and his community. I'm going to have the text read aloud, and then I'll pause in between and ask some questions throughout the story. So make sure that you're doing your best to listen carefully so that you can answer the questions along the way.
Gary the Dreamer by Gary Soto. Illustrated by Elizabeth Gomez. I was born in April, a month when it rains and rains. Maybe this is why when I was 3 years old, I liked to open my mouth and taste rain. Also, April is when flowers bloom. Bees arrive out of nowhere. I lived in a small white house. My dog's name was Blackie. My cat's name was Boots. I had a canary just bigger than a big person's thumb. But my bird flew away when the little door of its cage was left open. So sorry, little canary, but I think it was me who left it open.
I really like how the illustrator, the person who makes the pictures in the story, I like how she is depicting everything the author is saying in her illustrations. You see his cat and his dog and Gary out in the rain. Let's continue reading.
I remember my high chair. I remember watching my parents and older brother at the dinner table. When I got a little bigger, I got to sit with them. Most mornings I ate oatmeal sprinkled with brown sugar. The sugar was like rocket energy. I blasted out of the house ready to play. I played tag with the neighbor kids. I played hide and seek. I played catch with oranges. In our backyard we had an orange tree. We also had plum, lemon, and apple trees. Lucky me. Anytime I was hungry for a snack, I just went outside and picked a fruit.
So, what did Gary like to do when he was a little boy?
I didn't have many toys. My army men were pinto beans and pebbles. I played with them in the dirt. I got dirty from playing hard. It seemed like a giant pepper shaker had sprinkled me with dust. My favorite fruit was watermelon. After I ate a slice of watermelon, I ended up with seeds in my mouth. These seeds were my ammo to spit at my older brother. He would spit some back at me. It was sort of like a fun war. The seeds flew all over the place.
As they were reading, I paused to ask myself questions to check my understanding, which is really good when you're reading a story to ask yourself these questions so that you can make sure that you're understanding what's being read. If you don't understand something, it's always good to go back and reread parts. One of the questions I asked myself is, why did Gary use pinto beans and pebbles as his army men? Well, if I go back and I reread, I read that Gary didn't have a lot of toys. That is why he used things like beans and pebbles as toys. He was getting creative. He couldn't get the toys. couldn't afford them, then he could use his imagination and use things that he did have. Something else that stuck out to me as the story was being read was this word watermelon. The other day we talked about compound words, how they're two smaller words put together to make one new big word. Here I see the word part water and the second word part melon. You put them together and you get watermelon.
In kindergarten, I learned my colors. I learned to tie my shoes and to be nice. I liked to sing, too. My brother said he could hear me from the next classroom. I made my first friend, Daryl. I made another friend, Jose. At recess, we went on the slide. It was like a big shiny spoon and slippery. Then we went on the swings. It was scary but fun going high and jumping out. Then we went on the monkey bars. If I fell, I never got hurt.
What did Gary learn in kindergarten?
In first grade, I practiced writing the alphabet. The letters were big and blocky. I wrote my name, Gary. Some days my nice teacher would have to tell me, Gary, sit still. I wiggled a lot in my chair. I dreamed a lot. I was busy looking at the floor or my hands or out the window. Wow, could that be my canary in the tree?
What did Gary practice in first grade?
I couldn't pronounce some words. I couldn't say sandwich. I would say Sammy. I knew that 2 plus 2 was 4. But what was 5 plus 7? I counted out my answer on my fingers, sticky from the peanut butter and jam inside my Sammy. In second grade, we collected money to help children in Africa. They didn't have anything to eat. I collected pennies, lots of pennies. I noticed that the pennies were the same as me. You see, I was naturally brown, and even browner from running in the sun. I felt like I was giving poor Africa a piece of me.
What does Gary do in second grade?
My classmates got taller, but I seemed to stay the same size. I still liked playing at recess. I liked dodgeball, kickball, and foursquare. I would tumble when I played soccer. I was quick. I admire people who are quick and who play fair.
So, as I read this paragraph down here, and he's talking about his friends and how he used to play, I'm going to make an inference. Now, an inference is when you take what you know in your brain and then what you read in the book and you put them together and you make up a new idea, a new thought. When I'm in the classroom, I like to put one of my hands on my head and the other hand on the book, and I bring my two hands together and I interlock my fingers and I say, let's make an inference sandwich. We're making a new idea, putting those two things together. So I can inference by this paragraph that Gary is not very tall. The text says that his classmates grew taller, but he seems to stay the same. So Gary must be a little on the short side. Okay, boys and girls, we are now halfway through the story. We're going to pause here for today and then finish the story tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, and don't forget to check back tomorrow to see the rest of the story. Bye for now.